Okie doke. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Public Practice Accountants Club on Clubhouse, where public practitioner, thought leaders, industry specialists, and accountants just like you discuss hot topics in public practice and how they go about navigating the public practice landscape all around the world. So fundamentally, as you know, public practice has the same principles, dynamics, and challenges no matter where we are in the world. We may have some different tax seasons, busy periods, and legislation, but at the core, we are very much the same. So our room this morning is team culture, building your dream team. So that'll be what we're sinking our teeth into this morning. So I think, there might be some new people in the Clubhouse stratosphere this morning. So my name is Linda Steffens. I am an accountant and author and an introvert, and I've been hanging around public practice for quite some time now. The years are getting away on me. But for the last few years, I've been coaching and educating accountants around how to make their businesses their 10 out of 10, and particularly around integrating advisory services. So that's what I do and absolutely love doing that. But of course, I've got my amazing co-host, Kylie Baxter, with me again this morning.
Good morning, Linda. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good. Yes, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kylie Baxter. I have a public practice accounting firm on the Gold Coast, and I'm starting to feel like it's getting towards April. Like the work's kicking in, it's really building up. We're dealing with those clients that we asked them in July. We reminded them in July that their due date was May, and asked them for their stuff. And all of a sudden, it's like this big panic because they need it. So I feel this morning like it's 7 a.m. and I normally don't feel like that. But yeah, we're getting there. And actually, this topic is so, right on for me today, because when it comes to times like this, and every accounting firm has this time, whether you're really involved in tax planning or not, we get to this yuck part of the year. You really need the strength of your team behind you, and team culture makes the world of difference. Like if you've got this great, strong, positive team to stand with you during this not so fun couple of months coming up, particularly with this awful trust distributions tax ruling thing that's going on. Like there's all these things happening. So team culture building your dream team is more important than ever, I think, at the moment.
And I think just over the last couple of years, with everything we've experienced, and even as we try to launch into the future, Kylie, as to what accounting might look like in the future and where it's going, there's a lot of change afoot. And if you've got this culture happening or building, you're just going to set yourself up for a much easier ride. So, really, really important. So I'm glad you talked about that. And for anybody that's watching us out on the live stream, whether it's in LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube as well, so you can, it goes everywhere, this thing. Yes. We want to be available to everybody. So you can comment. We can see your comments, and thank you for that person that's listening to our discussion while they're working away. So that's great. We can see your comments. We just can't come back to you on those platforms. We can on YouTube, but we can't on LinkedIn and Facebook. So wherever you're watching that. But if you are in Clubhouse, we've got this new fandangled feature in there called Chat, and I have enabled it today. So it's working. So just pop down into your chat, say hi, and tell us where you're saying hi from. We'd love to see where you're coming from. So everybody, post your comments, talk to us in chat. That's great. If you want a private conversation in Clubhouse, you can just use the little paper plane arrow there on the right-hand side. And of course, we invite you, if you're in Clubhouse, to come up and chat with us or ask us a question. And I think everybody knows how to do that in Clubhouse, but you just need to pop your finger on the raise your hand symbol, and that will let us know that you've got something to talk to us about. And of course, we would love to do that. We are a CPA discussion group. So you can, of course, record your CPD and CPE credits for listening in. And that's all of the housekeeping, I think. So let's kick off our conversation this morning. And just remember that our intention is always to be positive, supportive, and collaborative as we come together in support of our amazing industry, no matter where we are in the world. And of course, I know you will all do that. All right, team culture, building a dream team. So a healthy team culture is the secret sauce that makes the difference between staff who want to jump out of bed and get to work each day and unproductive, dare I say, toxic work environments. It can really make a big difference. So research shows us how positive workplace culture can affect productivity, profitability, engagement, and well-being. So it's a really important thing to get right. And just as Kylie was saying before, when times are tough, this is the thing that will help pull you through. So team culture, I think we love definitions in accounting. So let's start with the definition. Culture, by its most basic definition, is a team culture made up of values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that are shared by a team. So it's how people work together towards a common goal and how they treat each other. So it's all about these attributes can actually be positive or negative. So we're talking about how to build a positive team culture, but I'm sure we'll get into some of the aspects of negative team culture as well. So I've seen a few posts around and things as I put this topic up for this week. It's team culture is much more than Friday afternoon drinks. It's much more than a ping pong table. It's much more than, free lunches, or I don't know, whatever it might be, those sorts of things that might be hanging around really hipster type work environments. So it is much more than that. So where do we think you start, Kylie? Because, and also too, I think the thing is if you don't think you have quite a healthy culture now, doesn't mean we can't build one. Doesn't mean we can't reinvent it or adjust it, right?
Yeah, look, that's right. It's so funny, Linda, because I Googled the definition of team culture as well. Because I was like, we need to start somewhere.
Yes.
I think we start by thinking about the fact that we are in control. Just like we can design our own lives, we can also design our own teams and therefore design the team culture. It's not all is lost. It's not, this person's there or these people are here, so that's just how it is. We as employers are completely in control, and to be real about it, team culture is up to us. We need to manage that, and we need to make sure that we're doing all of the things to get what we want, because we need to design the culture that we're after.
Yes. And I think so then the place to probably start is to work out what we want, right? If we don't know what we want, how can we go about building it? Because it can be at the start, if you're either reinventing or adjusting or even forming this culture, it can be a bit of hard work and take a bit of time.
Yeah, and I think for me, team culture comes off the back of, well, what do you want for your firm? What kind of firm do you want? Where's your branding at? Okay, well, if I want a firm like that, or if we are a firm like that, then what does the team culture need to be to sit inside that and really represent that?
Yes.
Like if you want to be this dynamic, if you want to be this dynamic, really front forward thinking, tech savvy firm, but you've got a team culture where everyone's like, I don't want to change, that's probably going to be a problem.
I hate new tech. Yeah, that's not going to work, right?
Or you've got a team culture of, I just want to do the work in the back room and not really talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Is that going to work for you?
Yeah.
You guys like that? So you have to make sure that what you want for your firm matches your team culture, and it's also driving that. Because I think sometimes that's where we go wrong. We have really strong ideas, and we've got this concept of this is what I want for my firm and this is what I want for my team culture, and both of them seem to be going well, but it's just not working. Why? And it's because both concepts aren't supporting each other,
and they're not aligning
together.
Yeah, I just wrote the word down, aligning. So it's really important to, yes. And I think then once you think about this, all you're really, this is bigger than just the culture. You know, this is about your firm and where you want to, who you are, what you are, all of that, those guiding principles that you really need to have thought about, or at least jotted down on a notebook somewhere. I would, you know, in what I do this stuff all of the time. So I think it's the place to start, not only for accounting businesses, but for every business. And I think it's a lack of something that we're seeing across the SME industry. But, if you get these guiding principles or understand that about yourself and about your firm, then you can make some good decisions around your hires, your policies, your procedures, who stays, who goes, your clients, all of this that filters into culture.
Exactly right. Right. So I think for the purpose of today's conversation, we need to assume that the team is in line.
Yes,
all of
great.
The other stuff.
Great. Let's do that.
We'll just talk in circles.
We'll be going around forever. Yes. Okay. So we know who we are. We know what our purpose is. We know the type of firm we want to have. And we've got that our existing team culture or existing team coming on the ride for us. That right, Kylie? That's where we're positioning it?
100%.
All right.
100%.
Okay.
So I think, the first thing you have to think about is, have I communicated to the team what I want this to look like?
Yes.
Have I talked to them about how I want us to work together? Have we got some core values? Do I run a flat structure, or is it quite hierarchical here? Either's fine, but everybody needs to know that and understand that.
Yes.
All of those sorts of things need to be communicated to new and existing staff so that they feel like they know where their place is. I think it's really important for everyone to understand where they fit.
Yes.
And that's where you find new staff struggle.
Yes.
If they come in and they take a little bit of time to see where they fit.
Yes.
So the sooner you can explain to everyone how you see it, the sooner everyone will understand what you want and whether they want that too.
Absolutely.
And I think that opens up to the next thing, which I think is important, which is communication.
Yes.
You need to make sure there's two-way communication between you and your team, because a healthy team culture really means that everyone contributes their fair share, and you will find that works most effectively when everyone feels that they can voice their opinion
in a safe way.
And also in a professional way as well. Like everyone loses at some stage, right?
Yes, but it's not going to be a personal affront to anybody. It's like, you might just have a bad day and really lose it. But it's like, it's okay. Kylie was having a bad day today. She's not normally like that, No,
exactly. Like, you want everyone to be able to share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas, basically. Because otherwise, if the communication is low, you're not going to be able to do basic things like keep track of tasks and workflow and that sort of thing. And you'll really wonder what people are doing, whereas you really want people to be able to openly just talk about where things are at.
Absolutely. So I want to dive back to one of the first things you said there, and that's fit. So understanding where you fit and why is that important? So I think just it's a evolutionary thing in humans that they want to actually do well and be part of something that is more than them. And we're seeing that more and more in generations that are younger than me. I'll put it that way. So, but for me too, that was important. If we understand where we fit, what our purpose is, and how we can help everyone around us achieve our, goals that has been set out for us, then everyone's going to get on much better. So I think there's a bit of a process in doing that, because I feel like a lot of these things feel like a business owner or senior managers is like, oh gosh, it's all up to me. Why is it all up to me? So how do we filter these things down and get the culture to nearly run itself, with regard to fit? So first thing is, and then you went into communication, which is so important. We talk about communication all of the time. And I'm going to hit on that. But hang on, Kylie, I'm busy accountant. I've got all this client work to do. Where do I have time to talk to everybody? What do we do?
Part of that team culture needs to be that we make space and time for each other.
Yes.
We have a common goal, and the common goal is, our common goal is we want to service clients with the best possible service, but in the most efficient way.
Yes.
And accurately.
It's important. No, it's important.
But in order to do that, we realise that we need to take time out. We need to take time out for professional development. We need to take time out for staff and team development as well.
Yes.
And I think that's where I notice that we get this really unusual, we see all these weird, unusual things happening. You'll see some firms that do a lot of team activity stuff.
Team building.
Some firms do very little, if anything at all.
Yes.
Some firms have it inbuilt in their offices. I think you said like a ping pong table. I've seen pool tables before.
Yes.
So
I've seen well-being models where each team member can take, I think they get an hour every quarter, and whatever activity they're doing, the company pays for. So massages, facials, golf, there's a whole lot of different things that they can access. So there's lots of different things you can do, but it comes down to more than that.
Yeah, well, there's so many different things. But I think the thing that I find most surprising is that across the board, it's not, there's not like a general amount.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you've got these firms that are doing zero or very, very little. You've got firms doing some, and then you've got firms doing so much. And I've had discussions with people, employees, and people in management and employers. Like, well, what do you see out of this? What efficiency gains do you see, or what happiness? Like, how do you measure it?
Yes.
And I'm always astonished that people are not measuring the outcomes of these in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
So I think when it comes to team development stuff, that's fun, because we definitely need fun. I do fun stuff with my team.
Yes.
You want to make sure that you're getting out what you
putting in. Yeah.
Number one, you're getting out what you put in. And number two, you're really being considerate about what activities you're doing. And you're not just doing things for doing things' sake so that you can tick a box. Yes, we do fun things.
Yeah. I've also seen that that can come back to bite us in the proverbial too, is when we start to do a bit like that. We want to do fun things, and I think it starts out that way, but it starts to turn into a tick a box exercise. And then what it further turns into is an expectation from the team that that's just what we get here. So then resentment starts to build between the owners or directors of the business, and we do all of this for the team and no one seems to appreciate it. That's because it's become that tick a box exercise,
I've got the perfect example of that. So your example of that hour a quarter or whatever you were saying, I had an employee, not one of my employees, but I had an employee. I was interviewing this person actually, so it was an interesting thing to say in an interview.
Yeah.
And they said, look, we get 1 hour, I think theirs was a month. We get 1 hour a month and they pay for that activity. So I go to yoga and it's $20. She said, but that's $20 a month. And I was like,
whoop-de-doo.
But really your charge out rate's probably $160 at this level. So, but there was no value exchange there.
No.
And that's what I mean by we have to measure it. So the value to us as the employer is that person's charge out rate and they're not sitting in their seat doing the job.
Exactly.
Plus, the add-on costs of that. But
the lost opportunity. Yep.
But the employee does not think like that necessarily unless you have a culture of thinking like that. So you really need to be making sure that you are getting back what you're giving.
So, Kylie, what you're
feel pretty
talking
strongly
about
about
there is, so that's having an open business conversation with your team. So that's opening up and helping them to understand the numbers and the mechanics and how the business actually works, and how their hour, which they might be looking at as an employee, I get $35, $45 an hour, whatever it is, turns up in my pay packet. Compared to when they have 2 or 3 hours or an afternoon or a day and you're off doing an activity, what that is in lost opportunity to the firm, and really what the firm is giving them. So I think we're all very information driven people that come to accounting. So if we can provide information around that and just communicate it, then I think we're going to be in a better place to start with. Would you agree?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you want to make, like I said at the beginning, when you can design your team culture, you have to be really intentional about the things that you do to make that work.
Yes.
So when it comes to incentives and the fun stuff, team development activities, you want to be intentional. There needs to be a why are we doing this, not just what are we doing.
Yes.
Don't do something for something's sake.
Yes. Yeah. Don't just get into that tick the box situation. All right. Communication. How often are we communicating, Kylie? So obviously when a new team member, and I shouldn't say obviously, when a new team member comes in to the practice, this stuff needs to form that business conversation, the culture conversation. How do we do things here? Needs to be part of their onboarding or their induction. So that's a place to start with new employees. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually finding that employees these days are actually asking about team culture.
Yeah.
But just like, what's your team culture?
Yes.
Really?
Not really sure how to. Yeah. Okay. Well, as an employer.
When you dig in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as an employer, you want to be ready to answer that, because the recruitment market's so tight. If you can't give a good answer with that, it's like, you're bummed out, they could go to the next interview, get another job.
Totally. And I won't say it's a question that I welcome, because I do wonder when
why
I'm
they're asking.
What answer are they looking for?
Yes, yes.
And generally, so strange. I'm finding this trend where they don't really want to be in a team. They just want to work by themselves. They just want to do the job. They don't really care that much about the job. So just so you know, it's more about like my other things that I'm interested in, and I'm just really doing this because I need to work and I've been to uni and that sort of thing. And not everyone's like this, but it's very like, I don't really want to be involved in people that hang out together after work. We don't hang out together after work, so that's fine by me. But there's a lot of firms that do.
Yes.
So it's like, and look, this could be totally geographical. Like, I'm on the Gold Coast, people come and buzz through here all the time, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's, it's really interesting to me. Like, I find it fascinating.
The culture of, yes. Well, look, I do think too, we're probably coming off a time where our energy resources as accountants, mostly we identify as being introverted. Our energy resources are sapped. This has been it's been a rubbish time for all of us, but particularly introverts. I know I've struggled a lot, and what we tend to do then is to withdraw into ourselves. So what you might be finding is a little bit of that, but also too possibly a reaction from previous bad team cultures or toxic team cultures, and they're just like, I've had enough of that. I want a job where I'm just sitting by myself and I'll worry about my own culture, so that might be what you're seeing.
So that probably brings me to knowing people or understanding each individual employee. Everyone does this differently, and there's so many different opportunities out there. I've got a client who's in professional services, and she is such a Myers-Briggs fan that like every time I'm with her, I'm like,
love it.
This discussion again. She's like, that's so Jay of you. Myers-Briggs, very popular.
Yes.
Enneagram, very popular. Love languages, very
yes,
popular. So
I love
just
love
know to pick
languages.
from.
Mm.
And you do Enneagram too, don't you, Linda? I think we've had this discussion.
No,
before.
I do DISC and I do Colby are the two I use. Yes, yes. There's more for you. There's a whole list of things. Yes, yes.
Like the number one one.
Yes.
So yeah, like there's so many things. I think it's really important to profile your staff.
Yeah,
and
okay.
That sounds a bit gross, I know. Like, oh, that sounds weird and intrusive, like to do this quiz
It's not,
or whatever.
yeah.
It's not. Like,
no.
it's way more normal now than it used to be. And
yeah.
the reason that I like to do it is because of the value that comes out of it. I know to that person, like you just assume as an employer, everyone just wants more money.
Yes.
Or it's easy to assume everyone just wants to go out on Friday afternoon for drinks. Actually, no, they don't.
No,
Some of
they
those
don't.
people have other places to be and they've got all this work to do, so they don't want to stop at 3 o'clock.
No.
They just want to keep working and quickly get the work done so they can go and leave and then not have to worry about work until Monday. So you find out what drives people and where they've felt like, you know, what will make them happy, basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the number of people that come out with words of affirmation or that sort of thing surprises me. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so easy. All you have to do is say, oh, thanks so much for your help today.
Yes.
So happy.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You know, so don't undervalue, especially when it comes to communication, the power of something like this. And you can get facilitators to totally come in. You can run a development session on it, and it will change the way your staff interact with each other as well, because they look at each other in a completely different way.
Correct.
Sometimes.
Yes. Most times I do these sessions, you know, and I do it with my team as well. Yeah. And so basically we get in, we do our own profiles. You're right. You learn so much just about yourself that you might not have known. And I know I've done some of these, and there was one young lady a couple of years back, I was debriefing her about the profile, and she just looked at me, she said, oh my goodness, I think you're a psychic. It's like, no. I'm not a psychic. It's just the profile, you know. Look, most of these things, they're 70 to 80% about right, because no one fits in a perfect little box with a bow on top. You know, that doesn't work like that. But that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. Me, an accountant, a psychic, what? That's silly. But, you know, I'm going to tell that story because it's a funny story. But, yeah, why we do these profiles first, learn about yourself, because if you cannot understand how you go about things, how you communicate, that conscious awareness of those things will not allow you to personally or professionally grow, because you do not understand your effect on others. So, you know, and we don't operate in a bubble as humans, whether we want to or not. As an introvert, we don't. So, you know, understanding how we communicate and how others might communicate is really, really important. So first thing, learn about yourself so you can develop some conscious awareness around what works best for you and what doesn't, and how to maybe handle it when it's not working so well for you. All right. The second thing then is to open that up to the team, and for the team to see how we're all different or how we're all the same. Because when you do that, we can understand why we get friction in the workplace, because somebody stomped in one day and just said, just get this done, and walked away. And the person who's a much more supportive communicator rather than a direct communicator went, oh my gosh, she's awful to me and cranky and I don't like her, and, you know, ooh. But it's just the way perhaps they communicated. They weren't trying to be mean. So, you know, having a facilitator around this helps everybody understand. And I've had teams that look at each other and go, oh, that's why you're like that. Oh, I understand now.
Exactly. It's like a penny drop moment.
Yes. And then as the business owner, number 3, well, you can understand then how to engage your teams. And if you're out there with you know, a team environment, if you want to do a bit of a fun one, the love languages is a fun one. It's a free one. You can Google it. You can get on and just do the love languages quiz. Now, why on earth would accountants be talking about love? It's like it's got nothing to do with that. Love languages is although it is used in relationship side of things, but it is really around intrinsically how a person is motivated, how they feel loved, how they feel appreciated, and how you can go about recognizing that. So if you know that as an employer, your team's love language and what they need to feel appreciated, I think that's a pretty big tick in a box, you know, for how to pull them through something hard, or to encourage them, or to get them going on a journey. So I won't go into any more about love languages. You can read all about it. It's pretty simple, but it's a bit of a fun one to do together. So I do it with my coaching clients because I know how to motivate them. If you're somebody that likes gifts, if you're somebody that just likes words of appreciation, well, I'm going to shower you in that when I know that you need a lift, and I know how to motivate. So, yeah, these things are fabulous. Profiling's wonderful. More information, the better. Okay.
So we figured out we need to talk to our team, figure out what makes them tick.
Yeah.
We know what we want, talk to the team. I think we've talked about incentives, celebrations, the fun stuff.
Yes.
Practically, because we're accountants.
Yes.
I'm really big on performance and performance reviews.
Yes, good.
We do these twice a year.
Okay.
And we call them different things in the week. It's escaping me at the moment because I told you it's 7 a.m. I'm tired. So we do one in January and one in June, July.
Yes, okay.
And the one at the beginning of the year, all of my staff know, is the salary review.
Yes.
And the one mid-year is more similar sort of thing, but no salary review unless we've discussed that in January.
Yeah.
And mid-year is more about goals check-in, where they're at, da-da-da. And I use these sessions not to tell them what I don't like about what they're doing, because that would be ridiculous to set it all up for that.
Yes.
But instead to educate them more and take time with them one-on-one to educate them about, hey, we talked about you wanted to set this goal and these are the things that we've done, but it's not really working. So we're going to need to either scrap that goal and maybe you've got a new goal because you don't care about that anymore, or realign our interests, or figure out another way.
Yes.
So a good example of that is I've got a really good I'd say sort of lower level intermediate at the moment, done so well, like just come so far really quickly, super great from a technical point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more about, well, we need to really go back and look at your productivity, because you're probably, you know, you've really bedded down that technical side, but are we doing things efficiently? Are we making sure that we're making people feel good about all the work that we're doing, the relationship side of things, all of those sort of touchy-feely side. And I think those soft skills are things that need to be taught as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm big on performance reviews, and I think that it's an important part of building a team culture.
So from top to bottom, Kylie, from business owner, and I'll ask you, this is putting you on the spot a little bit, but do you set goals for you and are accountable? Like, do you have the full 360? Great. You know, because the number one rule in leadership is you cannot ask somebody else to do what you are not willing to do yourself. So if you are not willing to set a goal and to be accountable, be held accountable to that as well, or to move towards it, then why is the team going to do it? You know, so top down. So right from you, if you're the business owner or the manager, down through the team, right through to administration level. So we're not just talking about technical stuff here, are we?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So everybody.
Absolutely. And it's very transparent for us with the way we manage our goals and that sort of thing as well, because we do that electronically and everyone can see our tasks and, you know, our goals and how we're working in our timelines and that sort of thing as well. And I think for us, that's actually very helpful with our team culture, because of that transparency. If somebody hasn't really done what they've said they're going to do, other people, it's not always up to me.
No.
To check in on that and follow that up. Other people will do that, not because they feel like they need to boss that person around.
No.
Like, hey, I noticed you haven't done that. Are you stuck? You know, or do you need help, or what's going on? So it's good. Yeah. So you start to see that internal maintenance of culture do itself. You know, it's when you have set up the foundations for all of this,
it will start to manage itself. And, and not always, it certainly must be led by you, and these things need to be done consistently and regularly with the team. Again, it's people need to know what to expect and what's going to happen. So some sort of process around that. So you heard Kylie's process for this communication side or part of the communication side of culture was the 2 check-ins. They're the major check-ins, I'd imagine, because throughout the year, you mentioned those check-ins are not about talking about what they're doing wrong. That's done when it's happening, right, Kylie? You don't save those up.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. And it will surprise you, Linda. I have a very direct communication style.
Do you? That's terribly surprising, not.
And like to some stuff, that is so confrontational because I'm just saying it how it is all of the time. Like that does not work for some people. And I, as you said, like from an orientation point of view, I will say to people in the interview, my management style is really upfront, direct. You will always know where you stand every single day.
That's great.
But I think on the whole, and like you have to be honest, right? Like you don't want to con people into work.
No, and that's your own awareness around who you are and your communication of that, which is what I was talking about before. So much of all of these things, and a lot of the things that problems or issues or challenges that we face in accounting businesses or in the accounting industry are symptoms of root causes. And what I see with root causes is really you hear a lot from Kylie and I about planning, a lack of planning, a lack of time and resources in a lot of areas, communication, not necessarily our go-tos and what we happily sit down and plan and communicate. We're much more technically driven, and I just want to bang out some work. Yeah, well, that doesn't work when we want all these other things to happen. So our own personal development is super, super important. And if it just starts with learning your love language, go off and Google that today. Fabulous. You've done something that's going to move yourself forward. So, I think that's more a root cause than all these other symptoms we can experience. So think about it that way.
So I think it's important also to talk about one bad seed.
Yes.
And even in the current environment where it's pretty clear that we've got a skills shortage, like it is hard to get good staff right now. I'm sure it's not just me, it's something that a lot of people are talking about.
No, it's all around the world, Kylie. I talk to accountants all around the world, and it is absolutely everywhere. So it's another symptom of some of the work we're doing in accounting and not attracting people to accounting. Yeah,
totally. But even though you might go, I can't afford to lose that person. Like they are really upsetting everyone, or they're just not following our procedures, or they're just awful to work with, or I just can't work with them, or whatever the story is. There is no point, and this is where you have to put a value on your team's culture, right?
Yes.
There is no point having that person as part of your team if they're just there to get the work done.
Correct.
And they're not meeting any of your other values or measures or anything like that. Yes. Unless your whole team culture is just get the work done.
Yes.
Like if that's your team culture, great.
Fine, they're fitting in perfectly. Yes.
But if you're like, oh geez, every day I'm putting up fires that they're creating internally, no one likes working with them, that person won't review their work, that person won't do their work papers, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you just have to make the big person decision that they don't belong in your team. And it's hard. But you also have to think practically about the opportunity cost. How much time are you spending putting out those fires? How much happier will the rest of the team be if you show up for them and go, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
That person does not fit the culture that we are designing.
Yes. I know I've experienced
really
those,
especially in the current market.
Yes, it is. And I know I've experienced those toxic people in workplaces personally from an employer perspective. And to be an employer and feel like you don't want to come to work because you don't want to face up to that person is the worst feeling ever. So imagine what your team feels when they have no control over that at all,
Completely. can I just say, it's not necessarily even that they're a toxic or bad person. It's just that they're not right.
That's right. Yes, good point.
Your team culture
does not fit in the culture.
I reckon I see the main reason, the number one reason that people allow this to happen for so long and they lose good staff over it is because actually that person is a really nice person. They're just not the right person for your team.
Yes.
But they're really nice.
Yes.
So it's really, you can't get rid of them because they're really nice.
Yes.
But being nice doesn't cut it, unfortunately.
No. And you're right. I've seen.
If they're really nice and they can do the job.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen great superstar team members lost over somebody like that, and it is just the worst situation ever. So again, I'll go back to your point about the big person decision or putting the big person pants on. Sometimes these things are hard and you have to call it, and it can be done in a way that, everybody can understand the situation. But I know I've certainly had situations where we've had to let people go, and there's one particularly, it didn't go very well at all, but it is part of what we need to do. So yes, if you are finding this person that just does not fit with your culture and it's just not quite working out, then you do have to do something about that. Maybe you've not communicated well enough with them. So I'd imagine, Kylie, you give them all the options along the way or opportunities along the way to adjust perhaps their attitude if they can.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the communication. You don't communicate team culture just to one person and expect word to get around.
No.
You sit them all down together and you say, hey, seriously consult with your team. If you don't already have a strong team culture or the strong team culture that you want to sit down all together and go, guys, I want to get this happening. I want to make us a really super strong team where everyone, can't wait to come to work. That might never happen, right? Seriously. And then consult with them, get their ideas. What do they want? Where do they see things going? Your team knows your business almost as well as you do. They might not care about it as much, but they do know it because they're there, they're living it with you. And I always say to my staff, we don't have to like each other, but we have to work together really well because we spend so much time with each other. Sometimes it's more than you spend with your family, depending on what they've got going on. So, we want to make sure that this is working. And what you find as things progress is you don't ever talk about culture anymore because it just exists.
It just happens. Yes.
And new staff will come in and they will say things like, wow, you've got a strong culture. I can see it and I can feel it and I know what I've got to do to be in it.
Yes.
And that's when you know it's working.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing I want to just touch on as well, because I thought it was absolutely brilliant that you brought up last week, was your skills matrix that you have. I think that's another amazing tool that helps us look at who we've got in our team and where their skills are. And I know you don't show this to your team members, but I'm sure you use it in some conversations around what we're looking for new team members or where we need to develop or things like. So in these touch-based conversations that we've been talking about, which is definitely part of culture, you would use that, right? So for those that weren't around last week, will you explain what this skills matrix is, please, Kylie? Because it's just brilliant.
So basically, a skills matrix is very similar to a risk matrix. It has everybody's name on one side and a whole heap of random skills that I think are great skills to have. Obviously, we've got all the technical skills there, but also the soft skills, collaboration, awareness, integrity, loyalty, all of those sorts of things as well.
I think you had relationship building in there. Yeah, you had relationship building and communication,
all those sorts of things. And basically, that I think that they can do. So, can they do it or not? If they can't do it, no tick. If they can do it, they get a tick. And if they are super good, can do it unsupervised, and I never have to worry about them, they get a green tick. And then what that allows me to do is just really, at a quick glance, know where the holes are.
Yeah,
so
great.
The example that I gave last week is if I don't have anyone who knows how to manage relationships, then I'm the only one dealing with clients in an efficient way. That is not possible with a firm of my size. Like, I just can't deal with that.
No,
So I know
it's too much.
At least 2 or 3 other staff doing that as well as me.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to lose clients. So what I do when I talk to my staff about their goal setting is I look at my skills matrix and see where we've got gaps, and I go, I need someone to become better at, I don't know,
X.
Yeah, whatever. And then they will become the champion of that.
Yes.
So then they really, research that and get involved in that, and then they'll share their knowledge with the rest of the team. And then hopefully that means that in 6 months' time, I've got a few more black or even a green tick in that box.
Nice. I like it a lot. Okay, so let's recap for everybody. So team culture, building your dream team. So the first thing is I think everybody's realized that it starts with you. That's where it needs to start. And it starts with you working out what you want this firm or this team to achieve. What do you want to look like? What is the culture that you want? Get that straight in your head, because if that's not straight in your head, it's not written down somewhere, even if it's scribbled in a notebook, you're going, when you do go to communicate, you'll give mixed messages, and mixed messages also don't work for team culture. It just confuses people and then they don't know what to do. So try to get this straight. Don't try, you really need to do it, and just get it straight in your head and written down first. So that's number one. So after that, then it is very much around the communication. So how do you do this? How do you start to communicate what that is about? And there's a variety of ways. It's not a team meeting once a year. It's not, it's a number of things. So Kylie talked about 2 get-togethers with team that she has on an individual level. I'm sure I know you use Slack in a tech way for communication. So there'd be some of that happening through these general conversations with team as well. There may be other team get-togethers that you're having. I have accounting firms that have a monthly team meeting. They start by talking about their vision, their mission, and their values. Every team meeting starts with that. So you start to build culture out from that. So communication, resourcing that communication, finding time in your very busy days, I know, to allocate time to that, and realizing that that's so important. Measuring. There's another one we talked about. How do we measure these things that we think are hopefully, or these activities that we're hoping is adding to our culture? How do we know if they are actually adding to our culture or delivering what we want? So some measurement, and measurement in this sort of space can be around, you can do very quick surveys, very easy surveys. You can just talk to your team. You don't even have to have a process, but I think there's certainly some measurement. Are there any other measurement type things you'd recommend, Kylie? Because that can be a tricky one.
Staff, you're going to know, right?
Yeah, right.
Basically, you will know, because if you take your staff out for half a day and you say, let's call it quits on midday on Friday and we're going to go and do this activity, what all their charge out rates add up to, plus the cost of that activity. So you're like, okay, that was $3,000, whether it was cash out or just the opportunity of that cash.
Yes.
How you measure that $3,000 is, well, did the staff get more efficient after that? Did they work together better after that? Not everything can be measured in dollar value.
No.
But if you start suddenly getting more work to review in a more efficient time frame, or morale goes up, morale is a priceless thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Smiles on people's faces are a priceless thing.
Yes.
So that's really how you have to measure. You have to look. So don't only ask, but look, because sometimes you'll ask and people won't tell you, or they'll tell you what you think you want. They think you want to hear. So you actually have to watch and see.
Yes, perfect. Okay, and then we also talked about understanding yourself and understanding your team members. So whether that's through some sort of profiling, using the idea of Kylie's skills matrix, that can all sit in there as well. So this awareness around who you've got and what you need. And then, of course, individual goal setting and management towards goals, so that people understand where they fit, how that contributes to the overall firm, and what their little piece in doing that's all about, and being accountable to those goals from top to bottom, so everybody gets to participate in that. And recognition, individual recognition. Recognition is so important for humans, and just as it can be as simple as saying thank you for today. You don't have to say thank you for what, it just is thank you. I appreciate that you've turned up to work, and I know I've had people say to me, that's counterproductive, Linda, they're being paid for what they do. It just is a thank you. It's not hard, right, Kylie?
Yeah, 100%. It's very interesting. We have a bit of a joke here in the office that, it's not hard, just turn up.
Yes.
To work and do your job.
Yes.
But then, and when they leave, like, are you coming tomorrow? We have a bit of a joke about that. But it is like people coming to work every day. Like, for some people, that's not what they actually want to do. A lot of people want to work remotely these days. We've all seen those surveys on LinkedIn. The majority of people want to work that hybrid work model, some at home, some at work.
Yes.
So for some people, it's an effort to get up and out of bed and go to work, and they don't want to be there. It doesn't mean they don't want to do your work. It just means they don't want to be there.
No.
So that thinking them will make a lot of difference.
And where you do find a misalignment with your culture, perhaps with a team member, it's really important to not ignore that, to deal with it and assess it very early. Don't leave it sit there and simmer, because you could run the risk in this skills market of losing one of your superstars, and that would be devastating for you. So realize the impact to the whole team on somebody that just does not align quite right with your culture. So that's the resilience of a business that you're hoping that you've built in somewhere, and that I've seen these situations where I know the business owner feels very torn between letting this person go who can actually do the work and is doing the work, but they're causing some internal conflict. And they go, but what are we going to do? We'll never survive without them. And you know what? When that person left, they always survive. You always survive. Until you're in that position, you don't know what you can do. So I've never seen, any really bad things come out of that, only good. So where there is a misalignment, get onto that straight away. That's really important, that you're looking after your team, and reinforcing the culture that you are standing up and saying that you want. If you don't reinforce that by making some of these hard decisions, well, then everybody just starts to take it as, well, it's not really what they want. We say that that's what we do, but actions speak louder than words. So, it can have a very negative effect. So, yeah, anything else on culture, Kylie, that you think super, super important?
Yeah, just don't undervalue it.
Yes.
Having a strong team culture is so important, and it really helps your business along in so many ways. And you don't really ever understand that until it happens. And also, it won't do itself, so you actually have to do the hard work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If there is anybody, we've got a few minutes left just before the hour. If anyone's got any questions, please pop them in chat, or raise your hand, or pop them up into our comments wherever you're listening from. We can see them. So that would be lovely. Maybe what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. We love to hear those discussions. But I'll go on to next Wednesday. Kylie and I will be back here next Wednesday, 23rd of March. Goodness gracious, the year is absolutely flying by. What is happening, Kylie Baxter? Someone's turned the dial up on the years and the days and everything. It's crazy business. Okay, 23rd of March, next week, 7 a.m. over here on the east coast of Australia. Kylie and I will be talking about imposterism. Is it a friend or a foe? Now, I love this topic because I'm full of imposterism all of the time. A lot of people don't realize that, but I think it's something that is with us, around most of the accounting industry. I come across it all of the time, like I just said, in my personal life and in my professional life. So I think it's a really cool topic to investigate, and what it does and how we can use it positively. And so, it's that'll be a fun chat. So I'm looking forward to that one. So I don't think we've got any questions this morning that's popping up, Kylie. No one's wanting to talk to us this morning.
Next week's topic's a good topic for staff as well. Sometimes we put staff out of their comfort zone, and we're like,
yes,
why are they behaving like that?
Yes. So the more we can understand about these concepts, the better, both from our own personal development and just what we were talking about today, leading culture. So the number one thing I think that's come out of today is that culture does come back to you. It's the place where you need to start. You do need to put in the hard work, and you can't just put in the hard work and then go off and leave it on its own. It does need help and support all of the time. It really revolves around the effort and the time and the resources that you can put into that. So do that and you will reap the rewards, and particularly through hard times, whether that's an individual hard time for a staff, an individual hard time for the business, or globally we're seeing a hard time right now. Kylie, any closing comments from you?
No, I think we've said it all, Linda. I
think we have.
Found our discussion valuable this morning.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to replay, there's plenty of spots to replay, both on Clubhouse and over on our other platforms. So they are there for everybody to look at. And we hope everybody has a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And we'll be back here next week. So we hope to see you then. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kylie.
See ya.
Bye.